Hello and welcome to Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. Today, here we are, we're at Intersolar in North America, and San Diego's in North America, and we ran into this guy here. He's gonna take all your jobs, sorry to tell you. This is called RoboForce, and he actually does have even a pass, because they think that he was a human, they wouldn't let him in without it. And I am sitting here with
Viral Hardev.
And what's your job, Viral Hardev?
Yeah, I'm helping out, heading up business development at RoboForce.
Business development, Viral. And then we have Leo Ma over here. Introduce yourself,
Leo Ma
Leo.
is Leo Ma here.
Yeah.
Founder and CEO of RoboForce. Yeah, very happy to be with you. Thank you for having us.
All right, thanks a lot. And then also we have Dan over there.
Yeah, so my name is Dan Zhou. I'm the head of robotic hardware, so to build this robot out.
And we have a little bit of noise going on in the background. That is called the Solar Games, and they're having solar competition for installing solar. And I'm sorry to tell all those humans over there, but this is the last year that a human is going to win the Solar Games, because we have Hal, or do you have a name for this guy right here?
Well, it's the RoboForce latest generation.
Uh-huh.
We're still in the process of naming it.
Oh, no
So,
human
we'll
name?
have a name soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
This is the first time that we really
Uh-huh.
show our latest generation.
And so what does this guy or woman do here?
Well, just a quick intro about what RoboForce is doing. We are focusing on the things that the most tedious, repetitive, and force-demanding work that shouldn't have to be human to do it. Think about building a moon base on the moon, build a solar center in the middle of a desert, gold mine under the ground. So in the hard condition, as in short. And then here we're in Intersolar. So the robot is capable of doing very fine grind at 1 millimeter accuracy of the fine motor action to build a solar farm in the middle of a desert.
So he's going to be out there like putting clamps on solar modules, sticking piles in the ground, all that kind of stuff?
So ultimately is from ground to grid. And now we're starting with the most challenging part, that pick and place the panel, secure them bolts and nuts. So that was recognized so hard to do. With recent breakthrough in RoboForce, we're able to do the bolts and nuts with the robot.
Great, wow. And then how about designing PV systems?
Well, not yet.
Can you incorporate him with AI?
Well, it comes with a powerful AI brain and a well-designed body of the robot. So yes, both for the AI and the robot are well-designed for the work.
And are you doing all this for more than just solar? Or is it like for all kinds of stuff? Or is it?
Well, we are aiming to
specializing?
build the most advanced robo-labor provider that focus on the things that shouldn't have to be human to do beyond the solar. So as I just mentioned, that mining, advanced manufacturing, and ultimately go to the space, they're all is a wider range of application. We're starting with solar.
Do you expect them to unionize someday?
No.
Yeah. And then there's a human and they have a certain like healthcare costs and all that kind of stuff. Do you have to have like mechanical health insurance or anything like that?
Not as far as we know.
And then what would be like the per hour rate for you don't call it a man hour or a robot hour?
Well, we are thinking about, according to our data that we have, and we'll continue improving that. So this is at a significant cost reduction for anyone or any company is looking at the labor cost. All-in cost, we're looking at more than half. And in fact, we're aiming at starting with 1/3 of the all-in cost in the actual work being done using robo-labor. And you just mentioned that the reliability, the level of consistency, pretty much no uncertainty, right? There's no other cost that beyond the robot.
And then you don't have to do OSHA, right?
Well, I assume so.
Fall protection, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And do you worry that someday that they're going to start taking up guns?
No. Well, there's quite a strict of what the behavior that the robot do and what the behavior will not do.
I mean, you mix this with like some AI and stuff like that, they start getting their own mind. How long until you see consciousness and feelings and stuff like that? How long
That is
until
really not our focus.
And then do you think a robot's going to marry a person or another robot first?
Maybe down to the road we'll have more data to show about that, but not now.
Okay, we're going to get more data down the road for that.
Yeah.
Okay, and so maybe we could even look at some of the things here.
Oh yeah, no, Sean, I just wanted to add, just to further add on to what Leo said in the questioning about, what is it and what does it do? We're purposely building it to do industrial manual labor that's outside. And that's the biggest.
Outdoor manual labor.
Right. So when you think about building solar farms, you think about mining, as Leo mentioned, you think about just building things outside that are in harsh, isolated conditions that we still don't have technology to do. And we want to remove people from those harsh environments and conditions and dangerous work. And so that's really our core focus. It is a super intelligent, we call it a super intelligent super worker that's backed with an AI, artificial intelligence expert model. And so our vision is that this will be an autonomous fleet of workers that will be specified to do specific tasks on job sites. And so, it's not the humanoid thing that's going to, be working in your house and being your personal assistant and all that stuff. There's other great companies and technologies are being developed for that. We're specifically focusing on these manual industrial labor tasks. And so when we do that, we can make it an expert to do those things and not to do, everything else, although it is a general purpose industrial robot. So there's tons of other applications. We love solar, the market opportunity, the challenges that exist in the industry, and we think we have a great solution to offer.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool. And it's just like a robot, Starts making me think of the Terminator and that kind of stuff.
Well, it's the opposite, that we see this as a significant enabler. So, as in this conference yesterday, I think the data really mattered. 44% of the project last year delayed or canceled solely due to lack of the worker and the labor to do it, right? So we see this could significantly enable the projects as an enabler from a robo labor perspective. Yeah.
So I remember when I was in high school, there's a lot of people doing the robot dance, Can this do the robot dance better than a human?
Well, potentially the robot will do a human dance. But as Vero just mentioned, we focus on providing the robo labor, not really a dancing robot company. Right? So we don't do that for now,
Okay.
Yeah,
The capability is way beyond what we're specifying it to do, right? It's super intelligent and super capable, but we're hyper-focused on providing real value to the customers and not providing things that are maybe ancillary, don't really matter.
Okay. And one thing is I walked up here and I saw some bus bars for charging. And so it looks like it would just back into these two pieces of metal, and it has its own two pieces of metal. What voltage is that?
Well, I will give this question to...
The charging station can come to different cases, but in US, in Asia, different kind of on-site condition can be changed to this kind of detailed condition. And for the robot itself, how the charger transport into the voltage, this is currently classified as a technical detail. So
it's classified.
Yeah, detail.
So if I pulled up my voltmeter, you guys would push me away from the robot would get mad.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Okay. And then I can't charge my phone on it?
No, that was not for phone. It's for industrial use. Yeah.
And I was thinking maybe if it's a higher voltage that's safe for humans, but then if he went to a place where humans weren't allowed to charge, then you wouldn't run into any of that OSHA stuff where it would be dangerous to a human, anything like that. So.
Well, that's actually the significant advantage of robo labor. So as an enabler, there's other environment for all the factors potentially not as safe, right? So or as healthy as you're pointing to. So in terms of the battery, on one side is charging and figure out the way to have the charging spot. The other way is is on a roadmap to have the battery swap. So think about you have the battery swap, so it's really going to 24/7. Right, in a long story short, right?
Okay, great. Okay, so a battery swap.
Yeah.
And is it also classified how many kilowatt hours do you have? Or?
Well, for now, because this is really our first time that public, right? So we would rather to show that later. Right?
Okay.
We have a lot of good working engineering in RoboForce, and plus we are a startup that is young, but the team in RoboForce have a total 100 years. Total experience building AI robotics. If you're familiar that Carnegie Mellon Robotics, Michigan Robotics, Amazon Robotics, Tesla Robotics, Google, Apple, Waymo, Microsoft, and all the technical leaders that join in RoboForce now. That we are in RoboForce and we'll continue attracting great talent in the world. Right? So we'd love to share more, but not everything in the first day.
We interrupt you for a very important announcement. Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast has been brought to you by Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. That's right, Sean White is sponsoring his own podcast, and he wants to remind you to go check out some of his classes. You can go to SolarSean, that's solar, SEAN.com, and then click on the links to check out his classes. You can check out his heat spring classes, and you can also hire him to teach classes for you, like at your company, something like that. Now back to the show. So you hear a lot of people talking about on different podcasts and stuff like that, about people losing jobs. and there being like a big loss of jobs when robots start, doing a lot more. And we see them at like the checkers stations and the grocery store and all that kind of stuff. And one thing I've noticed too is with technology, like it doesn't really happen. Like they said, oh, when computers take over, there's going to be no more jobs because computers are going to do everything. And then there's even more jobs because there's all these computer jobs and stuff like that. So what might be a way to create more jobs with robots? Like you get all these extra people and things like that. So they're working on robots. They can build solar farms that are 10 times bigger. So when a robot's working, how many people does it take to run robots? Is it like one person could run 10 robots, or like how would that work?
Well, that's a great question. That's pretty much two questions. How do we understand this in the current market, in where we are, and then what's the next step, right? So as where we are, we do see a strong demand in the, as we talk about, in this conference hall, there's so many experts in the projects, in the partners that we are talking to. They have a strong need for their projects, for the labor. So that's a strong, think supply demand, right? There's a strong demand, and we are supplying the robo labor. That's one side. And the other side is, to your question, how level of autonomy this will be. So we're going towards full autonomy. Think about almost like you go out with a similar experience that you go out for the road trip. If the kid is small, you need to really take care of the kid. When the kid is getting more advanced at a high school, minimal, and then towards another just robo labor, we're seeing that pretty much autonomy.
So like maybe at this stage, there's 4 of us here. It might take 4 to work one robot in the early stages. And then pretty soon it'll be like they won't even need any people to run them in the late stages.
Overall, that's exactly the plan. Well, initially, we wouldn't need 4 people. It's the opposite. Right? So we have one, we're in parallel developing our co-pilot system, which is a fleet management and a data pipeline system, right? So it's convenient for anyone is working with a robot to fleet management and assist. So it will be starting from something lower number, and then, as you said, it will be one towards many robots.
Okay.
Short answer, yes.
A big swarm of robots and things like that. So I see on your name tags it says Milpitas, California. So that's Silicon Valley. Is that where you're?
Exactly. We're sitting in the heart of Silicon Valley.
Okay. And so have all of you worked at different tech companies and things like that throughout your careers?
Well, yeah. As we just mentioned, RoboForce got a very interesting team. The very best school, very best company, very best project in AI robotics that we assembled an amazing team. So in Silicon Valley and beyond.
Okay, great. Yeah, and so some of the people that are listeners, because I think most people listen to podcasts, if you want, you could go to SolarSean, that's Sean.com/podcast, and then you could go click on the YouTube link to see us here at the show. And so maybe you can move it around or something.
Sure.
And so we're just see like the regular kind of joystick. And I guess that it's got a camera on it. That's waist height?
And a full suite of sensor. For the safety in this show, we actually disabled a lot of functionality, but the in-work is full autonomy. Actually move itself, manipulation, learn, communicate itself, and follow the safety compliance.
Okay.
We're saying that.
Okay.
Cool. Yep.
All right, so here we are. And if you're just listening to, it's got tracks on it like a tractor, and they're rubber tracks. It's got a couple of hands. It's got a couple of pinchers. It's coming at me. And on the back side, I do see like a couple of bus bars where it can just automatically back into something all by itself and do some charging. Got some cables on it, and it's got a head. I'm not sure what's inside of that head. What's in the head? It's got sensors in there. So does it use like visual, or does it use?
It's a combination of a multi-modality. You use all kinds of different sensors for the purpose, and then fuse them together. Yeah.
So maybe like some of the different sensors. So you got like all the different electromagnetic spectrum. So you have light. Do you have anything that's sound? I guess it can it do sound?
Well, for our early prototype, we're really going with everything. Everything that makes sense in our environment.
And you've got all the different wavelengths of light, from microwaves to radio waves and all that kind of stuff. And I think I don't know if there's LiDAR here. There's LiDAR? Okay, because usually when I see LiDAR on the cars, it's bigger than that. So there's LiDAR. So that's also light. It's like lasers bouncing off of things. So are there lasers bouncing off of me right now?
Well,
every time you see a Waymo car driving by or something, there's lasers bouncing off of you. That would be the LiDAR.
Well, first of all, it's safe. And second, for this conference, we disabled a lot of functionality for the safety to make sure triple check is safe.
Okay, and then I do see a couple of things on there. It says 48 volts, 2,400 watts, and 12 volts, 120 watts. And then there's, it looks like, is that like a little, what we called a cigarette lighter adapter? Are you guys lighting your cigarettes off of this thing? I mean, if you don't have to work anymore, you could just sit there and smoke.
Well,
Let the robot do all the
Well,
work.
first of all, that looks like, but it's not a cigarette lighter. And then we don't allow the robot smoke. So
The robot can't smoke? How do you know it's not sneaking off?
we have the data. So yeah.
They have the data.
GPS, right?
Yep. Uh-huh.
The other thing I wanted to mention, Sean, back to your earlier question about, with every technological change, our jobs going away, right? And history has shown, right? Internet came out and improved efficiency just as new technology advances. And that's really our philosophy and our belief that we see this solution as more of an enabler and not a replacer, right? So we believe that this will actually create new types of jobs, right? And removes people from having to do this manual, tedious, force-demanding labor work that frankly the next generation just does not want to do. And it's exacerbating this labor gap. And so a solution to fill this gap and then create other additional jobs.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah, one of the things that I noticed too is like when they invented the computer and the printer, people were like, oh, we're going to get rid of paperwork. It created more paperwork. It just comes out of the printer like crazy.
That's exactly right.
And so I think it is good. I'm just like an optimist. And I think it is good to be optimistic about new technology, that it will not put everybody out of work. It'll just be different types of jobs. And there's there's a lot of jobs that people had no idea that there would be that job. There's like an influencer. Be like, what's an influencer? I make 30-second videos or whatever,
What's a podcast? 5 years, 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
What's a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep. So this is pretty cool. It's got a start button there. Emergency stop, and I'm not going to touch the bus bar, but I'm assuming that for some reason it's not dangerous.
Yeah, it's not dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And also the other thing that you're seeing, Sean, this is what we call like our latest generation of an advanced prototype. So a lot of things that you're seeing here, you wouldn't actually see on our finished product, which will be released later this year.
Yeah.
But this version is the version that we're going to start doing our first projects with customers and partners and actually be out in the field and doing the actual manual work.
All right, cool. And so is he going to be delivering food or anything like that?
Not quite, although, again, the technology is more than capable of him, picking up stuff and bringing it from point A to point B, right? So, yeah.
Okay, can I take him home, try him out?
Yeah, it's a little heavy to fit in your carry-on. That's the only problem.
How much does he weigh?
It's around 150 kilograms.
So like 150 times 2.2
It's
is
330 pounds, something like that.
330 pounds, yeah.
330 pounds or something like
It's
that.
not, again, it's not meant to be your portable personal assistant. It's meant to do industrial, manual, outdoor.
He would be
physical
good
work,
at being a linebacker.
Yeah.
Not too tall. Like how tall is he?
Because it has a lifting column, it can adjust its height based on the task. So it can from this low to this high, basically.
He can adjust his height.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a
This
column
design.
there so he can raise up. So if he needs to reach, especially on certain solar projects, you need to be able to reach 8 to 10 feet. So you can see his arm can reach up and he can actually extend. And this height is ideal for actually getting under most of the solar structures that are constructed, especially for the U.S. market.
So he could go down to, like 4 feet, something like that maybe?
This is roughly, roughly 4.5?
Yeah, 4.5 feet.
That's as low as he can go right now?
It's almost there, but a little bit lower.
And
We
which
have
is
different
lower,
versions because this is just one of our robots. You see the TV there, we have several other robots. So they're all customized and modularized design. So for different tasks, we can switch all this base, switch the body, switch the hand. So for different kind of specialized task. So that's why we are aiming for this kind of super AI-powered robot labor. So compared with all this kind of humanoid robot or quadruped robots, this one is designed with both high payload as well as high precision. Just for real job in all these kind of manufacturer construction scenarios. Yeah.
Great. And then you were saying like reaching 8 to 10 feet. I guess some of these do that.
Yeah, exactly. So, when you look specifically, since we're at the solar show, the solar market in the US, right? Most height is you want to be able to reach 8 or so feet. There are projects where contractors have told us they need to reach up to 12 feet. And so we asked, okay, well, we can make the robot reach up, but how do you do that today? Oh, we got to get a guy on a ladder to do this. And so think about that process. If you're building acres and acres of a solar farm and guys have to get on a ladder every time to do something, think about the inefficiency that exists there, right? And so with something like this, he can just raise himself up and he can reach it really quickly, right? So part of the solution here is the speed, the efficiency, and the productivity at the same time reducing the labor cost to the customer. And so all in all, we think it's a really value-added benefit solution. that's being offered.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Let's see. Is there anything else that we should cover?
Well, we talk about the new technology. It's our first time we publicly show our robot is one of the latest generation. And we mentioned that we have a great team. Just to take this opportunity to thank our early supporter, like the really world-class supporter, Carnegie Mellon University, and then Nobel Prize laureate, Dr. Myron Scholes.
Oh, you have a Nobel Prize laureate with you.
Well, it's our advisor and also our
your
investor.
advisor. Okay, great. Awesome.
So, and then Gary Rieschel is also a legendary global venture capitalist. So we really have the very best supporter and we're early. Yeah. So yeah. So.
Okay, so I've got a question, and then I want you to answer. I'll be back. You do? Will you be here at the show next year?
I'll be back. Yeah, just wanted to say, just real quickly, wrapping up here. Sean, thank you for taking the time to kind of meet with us and chat with us. It's really fun. Amazing work that you do, so kudos to you. And then for anybody out there who's listening, wants to learn more about us, feel free to visit our website. We got all our information on there. It's roboforce.ai. And feel free to contact us, reach out. We're always looking for additional partners, additional customers. And we're really just excited. We're optimists as well. We're really excited about what we're building and the value that it can bring.
Okay, great. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening to Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. To find out more, go to SolarSean, that's solar, SEAN.com, and then you can hit the /podcast. Then you can check this out on YouTube. Check out the video version of it, because then you can see Mr. Robot here, or shall I say Mrs. Robot? I'm not really sure. I have to look a little bit closer. So, all right. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.